We'll start with Bruce. I'll do the introduction, not in full order, more the order of my notes here now. So I'll introduce you to Bruce Billard, and he's worked with the Department of Industry, Energy and Technology for the past 10 years in a variety of roles as an Economic Development Officer, Contracts Administrator for the Newfoundland Labrador Offshore Oil and Gas Industry Recovery Assistance Fund. And he's currently the manager of the Green Transition Fund. We met probably first 2 years ago when you started rolling out the Green Transition Fund, and I hear his name coming up lots, and long after this meeting today, I guess keep him in mind as a great program and a good help to our province. So good, I guess, if you're thinking about decarbonization, and we'll get to a few more questions after. On a personal note, he also told me if you want to connect with him that his favorite way to have bottled moose is warmed up in a pan with soy sauce and Worcester, which is exactly how I like it. Next on the end there, we've got Derek Wilton. Derek is a colleague of mine with the College of the North Atlantic now. I would say most people here knows Derek already. He's been in the mining scene for a long, long time. He's now with CNA as a faculty researcher and an honorary research professor in the Department of Earth Sciences, Memorial University, following 35 years as a faculty member at MUN. He supervised and co-supervised 2 postdoctoral, 3 doctoral, 39 Masters of Science, and 86 Bachelor of Science honors students. So when I'm on these conferences, I see a lot of people, young and older geologists coming up, and they know this guy all to pieces. He's influenced a lot of people and been a great mentor by the sounds of it. He's also a fellow of the Royal Canadian Geographical Society and a fellow of the Geographical Association of Canada. He's a professional engineers and geoscientist, PGEO. And on a personal note, he told me this morning he put his hand through a window in grade 5 and cut his hand pretty bad, but he did get the girl, he said. Derek? You're going to get me back for that, yeah. Perry messaged me this morning and said that he's not sure if he sent me his bio. Perry don't need one. We've known each other since we were kids. So that's the top of the list on a personal note from him. His greatest accomplishment is that he's been friends with me for 48, 50 years. I've watched, he didn't have enough in his bio actually, so I'll add a couple things. Perry started off his career, roughly speaking, he's been 30 years. And I would say he calls it humble beginnings in Wabush, but has done a lot more since that as well. I worked with him in Boise for years where he was absolute leader in health, safety, and environment and a bunch of other things, was a manager there. Then he moved to Detour Gold and was a manager there as well and got involved with a lot of stakeholder relations and such, and did very well there, and then is bringing it back home for us again, and he's been the Vice President of Environment and Sustainability for Maritime, which are doing great things now. What he never added is what he also brings to the community. He's a councillor in the town of Kings Point. I encourage all of you to visit. One of the most beautiful little towns in the province. Involved in the school system, but I guess not just in the local school in Velmont, but also with outreach. And is a partner of mine and Mining NLs and others in our outreach for workforce development for the province. We had our first safety share together when we were really young, and we learned how to not hand off a pocket knife to your friend. So I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly apologize for cutting your hand, Perry. Alan, you too have contributed so much to the industry. I'll share some of it here now, but for many they'll know that I'm missing some stuff. Alan is the co-founder and VP of Innovation for Novamera, Inc. He's been involved in the various management, supervisory, and engineering roles in the past. Been in mining for 35 years now. Nice. Almost 35 years, around 25 years. He's been contributing for a while, thankfully. He's been recognized provincially and nationally for attention to environmental stewardship, He's also received several awards for his contributions over the years, including the 2012 Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award and the Sam Blagden Award for contributing to the community, and on it goes. We're so lucky to have you. I would say probably it should be mentioned that many people might not have told you, but you've been a mentor and continue to be for a lot of people, myself included. Now, if I'm not sure, I'll call Alan, get some advice. He's also responsible for my addiction to desserts, in part. His wife makes the best cheesecake, and she shared the recipe with my wife. Yeah. So we've all known each other for a while. I said I was going to start the questions with Bruce, but I'll make him sweat a little longer, and we'll start with Perry first. Is that good, Bruce? Yeah. Perfect. Perry, in what ways do you see technology disrupting traditional mining practices in our region?
Disruption. Well, I think, with some of the advancements in technology, and I'll just pick on technology in heavy equipment. I mean, we're on the cusp of starting a new mining project near my hometown in Kings Point. It's the Hammerdown Gold Project. And just last week, we had an excavator come to site with new technology. And the technology was really about, trying to focus in on a level of precision for narrow vein mining, which is what Hammerdown is really all about. So, in this piece of equipment, there was a screen, and the screen, basically showed fences that were set up by georeferenced points and locations that were uploaded wirelessly from an office mock-up that we had set up at the site. And, it really allows an operator to kind of take some of the decision-making processes out of extracting ore veins after a blast and relying on technology. Yeah. So the technology is really about creating that precision that operators need so that we're able to maximize the value of a resource. But I think what that technology does, it offers a level of discouragement for some of the older operators. Now, when we look at our project and we think about our human resources that are required for our project, we kind of think about all of these people that are in our region with the demographic that we have with mining that come with experience, years of experience, decades of experience on equipment, but equipment without the technology that we see today. And sometimes that technological, I guess the educational barrier that's presented by new technology sometimes discourages people from even applying for jobs, right? Yeah, the older operators, they get in the piece of equipment and they look at the technology and how they need to adapt, and there just sometimes isn't that willingness to adapt. So I don't know if it's a negative in that it kind of discourages the demographic that you rely on that has that experience, but then it opens up an interest level for the younger generation that are a little more technological savvy to be able to come in and want to be able to work a piece of equipment that has technology that's kind of like a video game or or something that they've been used to over their childhood, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just totally disrupting the way that we thought of even like a year or two ago of how we would do work with equipment. It's changing so fast. But nice to see that adoption here, Perry.
And it is, I mean, the competition is fierce between manufacturers. So, one company is developing a technology that offers an enhancement of productivity and precision. And then other companies on the same line are in competition, trying to build better technology and better systems for communications and operations.
Right? Absolutely. Alan, that's probably something that makes you want to, you're probably biting your tongue there now too with the work that you're involved in about how technology is disrupting traditional mining practices in our region.
One of the things I think that probably we're not taking advantage of is we're challenged by the labor pool. And some of the new technology will open up the workforce to include people with disabilities, young mothers that are not, able to go to a fly-in, fly-out operation, but can perform many mining tasks now from their own home. And we're seeing a lot of that in conventional office environments, but that can be expanded to equipment operation, you know. I mean, many years ago, I remember watching a scoop being operated in Sudbury from the PDAC event in Toronto. And that's gone further and further all the time. So there's a tremendous opportunity to expand the workforce through technology. And you know, some of the work that we're doing at Novamera is to actually enable more of these deposits that don't work with new technology. And you know, we in Newfoundland, there's 200 gold prospects. You know, 25% of them in the Bay River region. And with new technology, they can start to contribute to our economy. And so, you know, just many benefits of adapting technology for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I love that point, because one of our, just about the workforce that the two of you are mentioning, and the close link to technology, and I was a disruptor, but in a change that might be difficult for some, but I think in large part, the bigger change is that, like, if we can help utilize all of our talent pool in our province, and if I got a need that I need to work from home partially, and I can still operate equipment or be a contributor in a mine, then it's just a wonderful point. Bruce, I'll move over to you now, and I guess we talked about some modern innovations. My question for you is, how can government and funding bodies support mining companies with technology adoption?
I think, you know, government agencies have a role to play in making a link between the commercialization of, you know, industry, specifically mining, but also the academia. So, you know, making that link, but also providing support and encouragement for technology adoption. That could be within research and development, you know, and the Green Transition Fund, which, you know, we oversee, has provided a couple projects now that look at, you know, how do we reduce the environmental liability, increase the social acceptance of some of our operations, while making, you know, the environment less hazardous as has been in previous years. And we really see, from a government standpoint, you know, having industry and academia, but also government institutions, having those three, you know, we typically, I guess around the office, call it the trifecta. So any great project would have three major operations. So you're looking at, you know, anything from, as Perry just mentioned, on the new piece of equipment. So you could have simulation, you could have digital twins of different operations, but you also have research and development for new environmental processes that reduces the liability, you know, to the developers, but also to the surrounding communities, and that's extremely important for government. And I think those three working in collaboration tend to produce really great results.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I move on to Derek, do you want to give a shameless 1-minute plug for the green transition and tell people a little more about what it is?
Thanks so much, Travis. I really appreciate that. Okay, 5-second pitch. So myself and Bradley Thorne, we run the Green Transition Fund, and, you know, very simplistically, we look at environmental improvements to commercial operations, but also more economic sustainability. So we look at really how do we make our operations in Newfoundland and Labrador more environmentally friendly, less hazardous to the environment, but also more sustainable and more economically competitive on a global scale. So we really want to make sure, you know, the environmental adaptations are proceeding, and looking at other jurisdictions throughout the world. How can we adapt those to Newfoundland and Labrador to reduce the environmental impacts, but also make these developments more economical? So, you know, and if you have both of those, that is the optimal, I guess, project for the Green Transition Fund. And we're really open to working. The mining industry has an enormous amount of potential for environmental improvements, but also economic sustainability.
Yeah, for sure. A great program for our province in the whole of the mining sector, like for mining companies, for manufacturers that support mining companies, for innovators and businesses trying to get an idea commercialized, you know, if it's got anything to do with green transitioning, be a good name for you to remember as far as I'm concerned, and reach out to Bruce and Brad, right?
Brad,
Yeah. Derek, I'll move into an exploration and geology question now. Can you give some insight into how technology and innovation has changed exploration and geology?
I'd like to start with, these lights make me feel like I'm being in an interrogation room, and Travis has set me up. He sent me this list of questions a month ago, which I studied and I worked on, and then he comes up today and says, oh, no, we'll throw that away. We've got a whole new set of questions, right? So how has things changed? I go back far enough that I used to do field work with a slide camera, and I would take my pictures in the field, and I'd get back at the end of the field season and send my slides in to get developed, and sometimes they didn't come out. You know, I missed things. So now we have digital cameras. I used to go in with air photos, or even worse, topographic maps, and try to record where I took my samples and stuff like that. Now we have GPS, and I can coordinate all of it. So the world's advancing, right? And the technology is really helping us out. And the world is funny now, right? I think the world's in a tangle. We don't know who our partners are, who they aren't, how we're going to go about all this. And technology is the only way that's going to get us out of that. And technology is keeping on moving along and stuff like that. You talked about destruction in the industry. Well, it's destroyed because it doesn't work anymore. And it's just a crazy time trying to keep up with all the technologies that are coming along. But we need them to get into the where we're going in the future, right?
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Did I answer your question, Travis, or do you know?
Well, let's get a nod of heads. Did you like that answer? I think that's pretty good.
Well,
Did you want to learn more about our hypospectral unit as of the college is working towards advancement of geology and exploration?
And again, you're asking about academics and things like this. I come from both worlds. I come from originally from the university, and I'm now in the College of North Atlantic. And things have changed. The whole ecosystem of funding has changed and stuff like that too. But what's happened is that we used to spend at the university, we'd get people in there for 4 or 5 years, give them a degree, and maybe they go on for another 5 years to get a master's and PhD and stuff like that. And they get out and they go to work for industry, and the university says, well, no, we got to retrain you all over again. And the college now produces people who will have micro credentials, which can go to university and move on like that. But even that's changing. Even academia, even the way we train people is changing, because a lot of it has to be done by the companies that are hiring them. So at these educational institutions, we can do the basics and go on from there. But we haven't changed in academia either. So we have this period of time, you spend, train them for 10 years, they get a PhD, and they get out, and they got to learn things all over again. Yeah, it's like I said, the world is in a tangle, and you can't really see where it's going to end up.
Yeah. And technology and innovation and the adoption of it is changing so rapidly, and before sometimes we even learn about the newest one, there's a newer one that's fast approaching us. Alan, do you have any comment for that? I can't but think of you too, when some insights on how technology and innovation has changed exploration and geology.
Well, I mean, I look at, I've been in the industry a long time, and look how we've evolved and the new technology. And I was fortunate to be in an environment, from a workplace, but I developed a relationship with a lot of academics with the university and college. And particularly my time at Anaconda, we had 85 people total. And we probably had started, initiated with our mining contractor, one of the largest circular economies around mining by repurposing mine waste, and ultimately shipped nearly 5 million tons to the U.S. to make America great again. But so that came from here, and that was it was rich in gold, and so it's further. But it just goes to show that how things can change over a few years. in my early days in Richmond Mines, we were 250 ounce gold, and we had developed mines around that, and now those mines are going back to be reactivated because the things have changed. So, you know, with new technology and new ways to do business, the ability to go back and reactivate, because you can't predict what's going to happen in 25 or 30 years. And some of these mines are built around plans to go for, you know, for 20 years. And, you know, can anybody guess what the gold price is going to be in 20 years? It's impossible. So what's ore today or waste today is ore tomorrow, and we're seeing that around. So, you know, working with the universities and colleges helps us, you know, expand on that, right?
I guess just to build on what Alan said, one of the projects that the Green Transition Fund recently looked at is how to extract additional value from former mining tailings. So one of the projects we're looking at in consultation with the College of the North Atlantic is looking at a former mine site. It's an environmental hazard, a liability for the government, but we also have a commercial entity that's looking at extracting additional economic value from former tailings that weren't economically viable 20, 30 years ago when the mine site was in production. So that's, the technology allows us to kind of revisit some of the mine sites that we've used in the past, but also extract economic value and provide additional employment and additional development in some of those areas.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Perry, another question for you, since you took the mic back. Want to share with us your thoughts on how emerging technologies such as AI and automation enhance operational efficiency and safety in our mining sector in Newfoundland and Labrador?
It's a big question. So I guess when I read through some of the questions, Travis, I kind of reflected back on the early part of my career, and we hear so much about AI today, and managing data and interpreting data. And back 30 years ago, I think we were in a place where you were afraid to collect too much data because there was really nobody to manage it, right? So, if you look at the power of AI and the advancements in technology today, I mean, I think we're at a place where we're trying to collect as much data about a system or a process as we can, because it's easy for us to interpret it using AI. And with that interpretation, I think for the mining industry and especially on the process end, I think we get better at being able to predict failure and to predict process upset, and to be able to predict where we need to make operational efficiencies and changes in our process. So, and then those decisions become, a little more cost effective as well. So it's easy to monitor now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And with advancements in online analyzing technology, you're able to make more timely decisions. So your decisions are quicker and they're more precise, and ultimately you maximize value in the things that you're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure.
From a safety perspective, I mean, you look at just advancements in drone technology and how it, displaces people from hazards and hazardous environments, where monitoring can take place now quite easily. Yeah. So it's not so much boots on the ground for some of the roles that exist today in today's operating environment. Is, it's standing by your pickup truck and using a drone from the tailgate to be able to monitor stockpiles. Right, and then the data you collect, doesn't have as much potential for error. It's more data, and it gives you better results. So, I think those are the two big things. And then just listening to what Paul had to say earlier about the investments in research and development, and using AI and virtual reality for training. I mean, training is of utmost importance for a new workforce. So, we look at over the next few years of our mining sector and how many jobs we need to fill quickly. Having the advancements in technology to be able to give us more impactful training and to get people well equipped and to get them the level of knowledge, more effective level of knowledge to be able to perform the role safely is going to be essential to us, because we may not be able to afford the time for somebody to get really good at what they do by actually doing what they do. They need to learn how to do it quickly, and they need to learn how to do it effectively.
Yeah, so true. I like that just as a great example about drone technology and the college being leading edge and Jeff and the TAC group. You know, it started out as something that was more production oriented, didn't it? And now mines are seeing the value from a safety and health standpoint, and technology just grows more and more and more as we use it. And having the college leading edge with us and mining industries sharing their problems, then we can help solve more, like the safety and health. There's also a new AI person hired on with the college for that reason too, based at a Port of Basque. For us to stay current with AI to help manage all the data that can come out of a mine, because you're right, years back I was limited by my macros capability, right? Yeah, good. Derek?
I was just going to say, AI is great. You know, it's going to be how we move forward, but there's an awful lot of crap out there too. I mean, I've been in a lecture, I listened to a master's student talk about how she was doing AI on all her data, and she's doing factor analysis. I mean, factor analysis, statistics is not like AI, it's not very complicated. And so people talk about this, and we remember something from the 70s, garbage in, garbage out. If you put data into the AI that's bad, then you're going to get a bad result coming out the other end. So AI is not the end-all and be-all, and I think people are missing the main point, which becomes sentient, and it actually starts making decisions on its own. That's when it's going to be a scary thing. Like I said, that the world is in a tangle, and how is this all going to end up, we don't know. And if you operate your mining industry, your operation, you have AI that guides where you're going to put the next drill, where you're going to drill the next hole, et cetera. So it was great. We at the college, we scanned 200,000 meters of drill core from the government core libraries. We got this hyperspectral scanning data on 200,000 meters of drill core. Still trying to work with it. So we have the AI guys come in and say, oh Jesus, give us all that data and we can figure that all out, you know. And then they'll come back to you a week later and say, what's an assay? Yeah. Why do you look about why the depth of the drill hole? Why is that important? You know, it's not the end and all and be all. It is something that's going to be really important, but we got to be aware that there's a lot of quacks out there, right?
Yeah, so true. Be careful what ads you accept. We can change your business with AI. But stay abreast. I sat in on a session last week with a CEO from Microsoft, and just how fast things are changing and decision making, and how AI modules and models are talking to each other now more rapidly. He said like a couple of years ago they were working on a 6-month development model for each model, and now it's like 16 and 18 days. And they are getting better to talking to each other. So there's going to be some challenges for us when it comes to like ESG in particular in the mining sector. I think we got some time for another couple quick questions. I just glanced over to see if I'm getting the glares. I'm good? Okay. I think, Bruce, we'll circle back to you now, and I'll ask a question about how can collaborative partnerships between academia, industry, and government foster innovation and technology?
Well, I really think that, working together, the three of those institutions can make some great strides, in technology adoption and evolution as well. Just last week, I visited the BP plant in Houston, Texas, and their operation is just absolutely incredible with the advancement of technology, the reduction of downtime. So they've use technology, remote technology in Houston to monitor their offshore fields. And a lot of this is transferable, and where I kind of see the mining sector going in the next couple of years. They've looked at preventative maintenance, optimization of flow rates in some of their pipelines. They've also looked at digital twins, and they've begin to train employees using digital twins to reduce that downtime. So instead of waiting for the platform to be built and then training their employees, as soon as the platform is built, their employees go straight in. And that's kind of where I see technology adoption that, lends from academia but also with government support to encourage that tech adoption, and is really driven by the industry themselves. So, you know, as Perry mentioned and Alan, you know, those type of advancements are already on stream. So you're going to see a lot of that technology development and implementation on the commercial scale in the next little while, and it should lead to very efficient and lower operating costs for some of the developments that we're looking at in Newfoundland, Labrador. Obviously, our environment is a little bit more challenging maybe than some other jurisdictions, but with the advance of technology, the support of the College of the North Atlantic and also Memorial University, the mining industry has a tremendous amount of opportunity to develop and specialize tech adoption for our localized economy and industry to be able to make these mines and some of the smaller ones more economical and allow them a better development path, I guess.
Yeah. That's a great answer.
Yeah, sure.
We have a philosophy at the college that we don't do research for the sake of doing research. Basically, we have to have a partner. We have to have an industry partner that we bring in and we help the industry out. We are also will get technologies and experiment with them and show the industry that these things can help out. And then I'll say, well, maybe I should buy a hyperspectral scanner. Maybe I should buy something else like that. But that's our role, right? And the government's role is to fund all that in a way, too. And the government geologists have to work with us. We all got to work together in this sort of ecosystem to really make it work.
Wonderful. We do have a short bit of time left. I don't think we got time to open up to questions. I imagine there's a plethora, is that the right word? If someone's got a quick question, we can take one or two, or I can ask another one. I'll give you 5 seconds to respond.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Really good chat here. Steve Rowe with SEM. Within technology adoption, I'm just wondering, like for smaller junior mining companies, what are some of the challenges? Because you don't necessarily have maybe the in-house capabilities. Just a quick question maybe to Perry or Alan there on some of the challenges you faced in technology adoption, given the fact in a smaller organization.
Yeah, so I guess for maritime, you know, it's probably easier, you know, when you think about technology adoption for larger corporations with levels of support throughout an organization, like whole tech departments, as an example, that exist in some of the larger companies that I'd worked for. But at Maritime, I think I can almost count on one hand the amount of people that we have floating around the office. So you're right. I mean, you know, it's somewhat difficult for companies like ours to easily adapt to new technology. In saying that, however, you know, we have a lot of great resources available to us in the province, and you know, just kind of cruising around some of the booths here in the last couple of days, we really realize the level of expertise that is available to us in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I think for that we're grateful for. I'd just like to touch on back to the Green Transition Fund a little bit, and I guess an example of technology exploration and maybe potential adoption. We had put in an application to the Green Transition Fund to explore a technology called GlyCat. GlyCat is basically a technology that uses sodium cyanide and glycine as a new reagent blend for gold leaching. This technology was developed by Draslavka, a company who manufactures sodium cyanide. So if anybody knows anything about the gold industry, sodium cyanide is often looked upon as, you know, that thing or that reagent that has somewhat of a detriment to tailings and tailings management long term, and also creates hazards in the process with actual management of and handling of cyanide. So this technology and the proposal that we had submitted as Maritime was just recently approved by the Green Transition Fund. So we're going to take a look at this new technology and really GlyCat, this sodium cyanide glycine blend, gives the industry an opportunity to eliminate the detoxification from effluent, from tailing streams, from gold processing, lower operating costs, increased recoveries, again, depending on the ore type. So this is the reason we are where we are with this particular piece of technology. It's interesting. Barrick has just taken it commercial at an operation in Tanzania, and they're starting to explore it for some of the other operations that they have around the world. So they're in Canada now. They've affiliated laboratory services with SGS, and that really opens up the gold sector, I think, to be able to explore this particular type of technology, or reagent technology, that has the potential to transform the gold industry and gold extraction. So thank you, Bruce, for helping us explore that technology. It's really, really helpful.
This is a good, well-rounded answer, Perry, because you're doing, with a small staff, great new things, but you're also leveraging government and non-government groups in the province who, as I can attest to too, there's a lot of willing participants that would like to help. I think we got like one more minute.
Sure.
Yes, we do.
This one will be for Alan. I wanted to ask briefly about, we have a thriving tech sector as well in Newfoundland and Labrador with TechNL led by Florian Viome. We have the recent opening of the Co-Innovation Center, which its mandate is to accelerate technology, specifically in remote operations, mining, oil and gas, and the rest of it. I know you personally have been very involved in creating technology, and I'm wondering, how do we start to bring those things together? Because I think what you're doing is great. Everybody who's operating a mine has a problem. Don't necessarily have enough people to deal with it, but how do we encourage those two groups to work together so we can start creating solutions?
I think, first of all, I think I've had the benefit of working with university and colleges for 20 years now, and I remember introducing our company and some of the technology. And said, well, how big is your innovation department? I said, we get about 15,000. Because I considered all the people at the college and university to be part of our innovation team. And I know the university and colleges have changed. It's not primarily an academic institution to educate people, but it's a place to share ideas. And I think when we develop new technology, there are three things. You need science, you need the idea, and you need finances. And they're equally important. And I think people underestimate the value of the idea or underestimate the value of the science, and that's what's changed. So our relationship with the university and college is top-notch, and there's a willingness to learn. And I find students that we're engaged with are enthusiastic about working on these great stuff. I mean, we're developing technology now that didn't exist, is not even close, and then it's leading to the development of more technology. We're seeing through rock, in one piece of our technology. That's unheard of. And we're developing vertical mine plans that doesn't fit with Whittle and so on. So we had to develop our own software to develop these plans. And that's done in a lot with university and colleges across Canada and around the world. We're with the HAL Labs in Houston now, so we've had a tremendous support, and I've been especially proud. I walk through the university as if I own it. It's just, I feel really comfortable there. So, yeah, great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for the question, and thanks for your time today. I'll just close off with I think what we may have missed first, but I think a good opportunity for you too. My name is Travis Richards. I'm thankful to be on this panel today for the utilization of new technology and sustainable development. I'm in a business development role for mining with the college, but funded by a group called the Mining Innovation and Commercialization Accelerator, and it's a $112 million pan-Canadian project, and I'm the representative for Atlantic Canada. So if you remember the name, or if you got some questions, or if you got an idea about how to bring a company that's involved in innovation and technology that can support the mining sector, reach out to someone in the college, reach out to me directly. And what's happening in Canada is just amazing. My mind's been blown by that in the last few months, and there's a lot of help that we can bring back home here to Newfoundland and Labrador, that's for sure. Thanks everybody for your time. This was a pleasure.
Thanks so much to our panelists. I wish we had more time. It was very interesting. We're going to take a quick refreshment break. We will return at 11:05 to hear from Atlas Salt, and the bar is open for anyone that needs a hair of the dog this morning. Thank you.